I make it rain. They say ho, ho, ho. I make it rain.
There's been a lot of back and forth between the two parties, but today we received news that Dak Prescott and the Dallas Cowboys have finally come to an agreement on that long-awaited contract extension. I'm hearing some ridiculous numbers. I'm hearing some outlandish numbers, but I already know my boy Bill's been thinking about this one long and hard. So I'm going to throw it over to him. Bill, tell me what you thought about that contract extension and all the latest details we're hearing on Dak and the Cowboys.
It's completely irresponsible and outlandish by the Dallas Cowboys to be giving Dak Prescott $126 million guaranteed.
Guaranteed.
Based on what? What has he done? What has he really done? Yes, he's won that absolute trash of a division a few times, but what else has he done in the league?
Put up numbers, my boy.
Put up numbers. What has that gotten them?
Empty numbers, but they eat that up in Dallas.
Calories. And where did those empty numbers came in? In the fourth quarter or in the second half when they were down 30 points already? Like, you look at consistently all the numbers he was put up right before the injury. He was absolutely, if you looked at the raw numbers and you just looked at straight numbers, how many yards he was throwing over, how many completion percentage or touchdowns, like literally every statistical category, he looked like one of the best quarterbacks in the league. I don't know if that's what the Dallas Cowboys fell for, but that was absolutely not the contract you give to Dak Prescott. Mm-hmm. Albeit they did protect himself, making it front-loaded. That's the only good thing I can say about this contract. It is front-loaded, huh? So they can get out of it quite relatively soon. But you're going to give him the power of a no-trade clause, no tag clause. Like, it's like he had you on the ball. Like, I don't understand what you were doing for the last 2 years, trying to pretend like, you were in power. If you're just going to give it all up after he's coming off a catastrophic injury, like, why? Yeah, Andy Dalton stuck up the joint when he was gone. Of course, that didn't help the case. Probably only bolstered his case. But come on, you cannot. That's like, how can he be the second most paid quarterback after Patrick Mahomes? He got more money than Deshaun Watson.
Now let that sink in. I hear a knock at the door. Let that sink in.
Wow. I'll throw it to you. Let me digest this a bit more. This is
my boy Bill is speechless. For the first time in my life, I've seen my boy speechless. He don't know what to say. He can't think of the words to describe this catastrophe. Couple of things here. We see what the Patrick Mahomes influence has been on the QB market. Number one, I have to say that I'm really disappointed and kind of astounded at the Cowboys from their front office perspective. I honestly thought Jerry Jones, giving the astute businessman that he has proven to be through most of his life for the past 50 years, 60 years, and his son, Stephen Jones, who's supposed to be the heir to it all, who's supposed to carry the torch going forward. And the fact that they let this situation obviously got completely out of hand. It should have been dealt with a year ago, maybe even 2 years ago, when you start talking about what you were seeing from Dak, how the team was progressing, and what could eventually become his value. I feel like the NFL is always a forward-thinking business, but for whatever reason, in this particular scenario, the Cowboys were not future thinking at all. It really seemed to me, and for a lot of people from the outside world looking in, that they were hesitant to give Dak Prescott an extension or a significant amount of money because they didn't think he was their guy. They didn't think that he was going to be their franchise quarterback moving forward. And now look at the corner that they almost backed themselves into. Of course, the Patrick Mahomes deal completely reset the market. I'm not saying that if you're Dak Prescott, you expect to get Patrick Mahomes money. But if I'm Dak Prescott right now, I'm calling Patrick Mahomes and giving him a huge thank you for resetting the market, allowing me to get my money. And then the next call I'm making is to Andy Dalton. Andy Dalton, my boy, I'm glad you're on the team this year. Has someone to fill in for me, because I think those two things really brought this situation to a bubble over. I think it really forced the Cowboys to almost be held hostage by Dak Prescott and his agent, who a year ago people were thinking, calling him crazy, thinking, there's no way you're going to get this amount of money. At the beginning of the negotiations, there were a lot of numbers being thrown around, and people were saying that Dak and his camp were asking for around $35 million annually. And now look at what the boy ended up getting. So, if you're Dak Prescott
inflation.
and is it
inflation,
the Patrick Mahomes market, and that ankle injury that really exposed the Cowboys for, I don't want to say that they're a completely different team with Dak Prescott in the situation, but it really left them vulnerable on offense and almost pedestrian. Like, again, not saying that they're world beaters with Dak Prescott under center, but they definitely looked mediocre and looked less of the part of America's team after Dak went out. And so I think the combination of those things really forced the Dallas Cowboys' hand. I think, to me, the most egregious, asinine part of this whole contract isn't even the guaranteed money. It's the $66 million signing bonus and the $75 million that they're going to pay Dakota Prescott to play for the Dallas Cowboys for one season. My boy is set to make $75 million this upcoming season. That's the kind of money that, hey, some players don't even touch that in their entire career. But,
I don't think it's some. I think most players don't touch that money in their career.
Most players won't touch that in their career, especially if you're not playing quarterback. But as an outsider looking in, I can't say I'm a Cowboys fan. I'm neutral. This is a master stroke by Dak and his team. And at the same time, I think it's the opposite of a master stroke from the Dallas Cowboys. I think this can actually seriously hamper their situation moving forward. So I'm really interested to see what comes of this all. But I got to tell you, I don't like how this looks.
There's literally only one person in America who's happy right now. Who's a Dallas Cowboys fan? And that would be Dak Prescott. I don't think a single Dallas Cowboy fan can tell you that they're happy that this deal happened and the way it's structured and anything about it. I can't wait for Skip Bayless to come on air tomorrow. Or he's probably already tweeted something or something along those lines where he's absolutely pissed off. Like, I cannot see him go on air and be like, yeah, that's the deal I wanted. Jerry Jones has always overpaid his player. So maybe he thought this would also work out. Hasn't really worked out. Worked out when they won the Super Bowls back in the days, but hasn't really worked out. Overpaid Zeke. He has looked like an average back at this point. Overpaid Cooper. Yeah, middle of the pack, maybe upper tier, but still middle of the packish type of
still
wide
overpaid.
Receiver.
Still overpaid.
Overpaid.
Yep.
And then even the the linebacker? What's his name?
Jalen Smith.
Jalen Smith. Yes, he got paid too. He got paid early. He paid him early. Like, that was a good gesture from his part, but he's also kind of fell off the map ever since he got paid.
Yep.
So, like, I don't know what's happening. Like, what more do you need to see that you overpaying player hasn't helped your team? So what are you going to do is you're going to make another mistake on another mistake to just compound the mistakes. And eventually you'll turn out to be what Matthew Stafford's been in Detroit for the last how many years right now? Where he's good, but you just don't think he should have gotten the money that he did. And that's the reason why not the only reason, but that was one of the few reasons that, Detroit was anemic for all these years and they did absolutely nothing. I'm still dumbfounded by this. I did not expect this to happen. I just expected them to tag him one more season for about, 40, 45, whatever it was, that many millions.
I think it was around 38 to tag. Would have been.
Yeah. So, like, if you're willing to pay him 75, I'd rather pay the 38. I'd rather pay the 38. Like, come on. Like, that would only be his second tag. You could still tag him one more time. Maybe work out a deal next season. Just, I would evaluate him. Coming off that injury, I would not.
Exactly. Evaluation.
I would not. Coming off that injury, I would not give him that money. Especially how I've seen how that's worked out for me previously.
Very intriguing decision by the Cowboys. Not
only that, I think there was some recent reports that came out where it talks about how much endorsement money the guy makes for just being a Dallas Cowboys quarterback. The guy makes close to $50 million a year.
Imagine that. That's another salary right there. That's another NFL caliber salary.
That's what I'm saying. So that's exactly what they could have gotten into their negotiations. You being our quarterback. What trade you to freaking Detroit? What trade you to Detroit? Maybe you'll make $1 or $2 million of that. You're not
New England
anywhere close to. literally go anywhere. If you're not in the Dallas Cowboys or maybe New York, one of those marquee, cities,
Markets, yeah.
you're not gonna make that kind of money. Like Dallas Cowboy, being a Dallas Cowboy has so many perks for you. And you like, although he wasn't really making much salary because he was a later round pick early on in his career until his very last tag that just happened.
Yep.
But he was making so much money off the football field, just being a Dallas Cowboy quarterback, that I think they easily compensated. And he should have. They shouldn't even be questionable. He should have given him a discount just for that one reason.
This was very, very interesting timing from the Cowboys for me. I think they were very hesitant, like I mentioned at the beginning, to pay him the mid upper 30s. And now that they're basically giving him 40 million per year, it's number one, number one, it turns the spotlight on Dak Prescott on even more, which means that he will be under new levels of pressure this year to perform. But wow, what a bombshell in the NFL. This is definitely going to be making waves, not only this year, but this is going to have significant repercussions down the line. And hey, as far as I'm concerned, keep that quarterback carousel spinning, baby. Maybe after this one, all we can say on the Bill and Pablo show is go Cowboys. Keep tanking your chances and keep resetting that QB market. Thanks for watching, everybody. You already know what it is. It's been your boy Pablo. That's my boy Bill. And this has been the Bill and Pablo Show. Peace.